Hello, my name is Nick Pollack, and I am going to be discussing some of the content covered in EDU 333 this year. I will be going over different tools used during the semester and discussing how these tools may have been helpful or not so helpful. I will also be discussing the functionality of these tools and how that may contribute to the tool being helpful or not. Let's begin with discussing Kahoot. Kahoot is a tool that I have become familiar with over the years as I have been using it since middle school. In order to use Kahoot, your instructor simply must make a teacher's account and create a quiz or survey using this portion of the tool. After doing so, the instructor will share a PIN number with the class, and each student will sign into the Kahoot, either on a PC or cell phone device. Some pros of using Kahoot is that it's engaging, it pays attention to varying questions, and visuals are allowed to be added to your questions. The main problem with Kahoot is that it focuses on speed and doesn't allow for students who are not so fast with the topic time to compete. This also creates problems for students who may not read as well. Next, let's discuss Adobe Spark. During using this tool, I grew very fond of the simplicity of creating visuals with this tool. It is very easy to record your voice as well as to add images that the tool has already provided for you. Its availability on both mobile and PC devices also impressed me. The main issue that I encountered is that everything is not available unless you purchase the full edition with this tool. But all in all, I see this as an extremely accessible and helpful tool. Next, let's discuss the tool that I'm using to create this portfolio, Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic is extremely simple to use and allows you to share the content you have created very easily. The ability to use webcam or screen record makes it a tool that could be very useful and effective for the flipped classroom. Some of the cons that you may experience using Screencast-O-Matic include that it's not very interesting, it's kind of basic, there's not much customization available. Many times you find that people using this may be uncomfortable talking, and the editing is not easily done. Oftentimes it makes you delete your entire presentation without allowing you to delete portions that you may have messed up. Next, let's discuss Powtoon. Powtoon is extremely detailed in the variations of visuals you can create and edit in terms of using this tool. You can create many different kinds of avatars and edit them to perform multiple movements. This particular tool is very engaging towards elementary students. Powtoon's ability of allowing you to use free trials. It's easy to navigate. You are very able to use audio visual and you're allowed to use different templates. Some of the cons you may experience, I believe that it really does focus on the elementary kids. I think that sometimes as somebody that's older designing templates with this content, it can sometimes feel as if it's very centered toward elementary kids, but I think all in all there are the things that the older kids can also benefit from. One of my favorite tools used this semester was Quizalize. I was very impressed with the amount of detail used when creating helpful resources tailored to each individual. Quizalize allows you to align standards to quizzes, create games, engaging learning activities, and it also differentiates follow-up activities based on student performance. I believe that this is very, very extremely helpful in terms of understanding different individuals and where they may be at when you are teaching them. I think that this makes this tool extremely helpful. When looking at this tool, I honestly didn't find a great deal of cons. Maybe something I would say is that all the information and the details that go into using this tool may be overwhelming to someone who may not be familiar with the site. Socrative is a tool that I found to be very relatable to Quizalize in terms of the ability to align standards and create pace of questions. Something that Socrative does not allow for that Quizalize did was the individualized post-assessment. All in all, though, with the ability to align standards and the access to add images to the quizzes makes Socrative a very helpful tool. During the brief amount of time spent creating a rubric in Rubistar, I realized that this tool is very helpful in terms of giving someone a very detailed outline of what their particular rubric should look like. The access to simply picking a template and choosing standards in order to have a rubric made for you is extremely helpful, yet maybe it does a little bit too much of the work for someone who could benefit instead from actually creating a detailed rubric themselves. Piktochart infographics seemed to be very resourceful for me as I originally had planned on using the tool to create my final project. The ability to easily add videos and or visuals to your infographic allow you to make sure you are being much more visual and auditory rather than simply writing text to read. The asset of having pictures to add that are already cited for you is also a very helpful resource. The only setback I really experienced, I would say, is the actual ability to preview what you have created, as you have to sometimes scroll to see everything. I believe when looking at YouTube as a resourceful tool for education, I believe the pros really are there. Obviously, you can create visuals and you're helping students learn. The students can rewatch parts of videos that they may have missed. I think the real thing that you really have to watch for though with YouTube is that you don't want to show anything inappropriate. So before you show or use YouTube as a resource, you really want to watch through the video and make sure maybe nothing's inappropriate, especially with elementary kids, because that's a big no-no when it comes to the responsibilities of the teacher. But all in all, in terms of sharing information from specific tools that we've used this year, it's very resourceful in turn. Like we shared the Powtoon, and we also shared our Adobe Spark videos, and that's very resourceful as we can get information from other peers and see what they're doing at different universities and collaboration just to work towards better education. In terms of my experience and our class's experience with Poll Everywhere, I think that it's something that can be very resourceful and very useful in the classroom. Obviously, the two people who gave the presentation to us, they used it in order to get our thoughts and feelings of maybe where we were at and our understanding of what was being presented. And I think that that's very helpful and works very well. One of the drawbacks that maybe works into that is on the board you can see everyone's name that has commented. I think that maybe that's not positive. All those students and the people in the class seeing individuals that may make them uncomfortable to say how they really feel or what they really know. I think that if it was anonymous, it would be a lot more effective, a lot more truthful. But overall, to a for a teacher to understand, to have an understanding, to get to a better place with their students. I think that Poll Everywhere allows for great collaboration, and it's a good tool to get students' thoughts out. Also, based on the multiple times throughout the semester that we used the Nearpod tool, I really think that it's something very positive. The ability to enter the code and simply do the things that may or may not have been able to get done in the classroom due to maybe snow days or just not being able to be there. Certain days where teachers can't come in, you can still really get your point across with the Nearpod lesson. It gives you the instant feedback, let you know who's getting things done and who's not. And it's really just a resourceful tool. It seems very next level. It's something that I really believe that, you know, once I personally get into my everyday classroom, I'd really like to use. I think we're headed towards a point where there's going to be a lot of days where you're not in the classroom, and those aren't necessarily days that you lose out of your 180-day schedule. And Nearpod is something extremely positive in terms of making sure there's content given to each student every day. So the ISTE standards, formerly known as the National Education Technology Standards, are standards for the use of technology in teaching and learning. And a goal that I could see for the future of technology standards, I would really like to see a law that requires all public school districts, wealthy or not, to really end the digital divide and offer the same technological opportunities to each student. In today's world where things are very technological school, technology is involved in mostly, all new careers. It's not very fair that students that, go to a school district that maybe doesn't have the money, or they come from communities where, at home they may not have the money. It's not fair to take away from their opportunities for their future. And I think that's something, we need to work towards in the future with technology and teaching, is that everybody gets the opportunity, because everyone deserves a chance, to be successful in, the real world in 20 years. And in 20 years, a lot of there's going to be even more careers where technology is involved, and if you're not exposed to, the workings of that at a young age, it really it can really set you back. So I think that that's something I'd really like to see, with the relationship between technology and education. I'm very appreciative to have been given the opportunity to participate and experience using each and every one of the tools used in EDU 333 this year. I know I will take the advantages and disadvantages into great consideration and try to implement a good amount of the useful information and tools I've been shown in my everyday classroom one day. And I thank you all very much.